welcome to Way of the Brush with me, your host, Kris, aka the Name Butcher, aka Hey You, Get Off My Lawn. Way of the Brush, the most informative 120 minutes on the internet on the wargaming lifestyle. Talk about painting, terrain, conversions, and everything under the sun. We usually delve into a lot of painting talk, as well as a lot of what's under the sun. Normally, this show is live on both Twitch and YouTube, but because of issues, I am pre-recording this, and so this is going to be an email special because I have a lot of emails to get through. So this is to make sure that I stay on top of the emails that you guys have been kind enough to send in to me and, posing your questions. And I think really this might be a lot of fun because, basically, we'll be free of distractions of everybody just, spamming chat and, talking and, all that other usual silliness. But I mean, some of us enjoy the silliness. Some of us, maybe really want our answers questioned. Our answers questioned. Yeah, we want our answers questioned. So I'm going to do emails today. So, big, huge thank you to Patreon supporters. Without your support, a lot of this stuff wouldn't be possible. Everybody who is currently supporting me on Patreon have been enjoying early access to the painting videos as I create them, as well as other videos that I will be creating. I actually have a few other projects that I want to get done, and so yeah. And of course, expect in the future, possibly bat reps and other things like that. Every once in a while, I'm not going to turn into a bat rep channel. I just, I mean, I easily could, but, So a huge thank you to Patreon support. And of course, everybody who else doesn't contribute monetarily, clicking the like, subscribe, follow, share, all that stuff helps as well. And it's just a couple clicks of the button and, you're helping me out a great deal. So huge thank you. Huge thank you to Nick, who recently, I don't have the box on me, it's in the other room, sent me a package of models for, video usage. And so a huge thank you to Nick, and a huge thank you to Grim and Jabba's Left Nut for their support. They, sent me packages through Amazon, and so it's huge thank you to those guys. Much love, and support from everybody has just been fantastic. And so again, huge thank you. And so yeah, so as some of you may or may not know, I'm not part of Mini Wargaming, and so I'm completely independent now, but that means I am free to say whatever the fuck I want to say. So, and I can do my show while drinking a beer. Which, yeah, it's past noon when I'm filming this. It's not like I have a drinking problem. I might, but no, actually I don't. Well, at least I don't think so. So anywho, we are going to get to the emails because, again, like I said, this is going to be the email show. And so if you're wearing headphones, turn them up or down because we're going to play a jingle and it's going to be really freaking loud. And so here we go. Email time. It's email time. Oh, it's done. I'm not even paying attention here. This one is from Brother Otis. Hey Kris, how's she going, eh? Just finished watching this week's episode of Way of the Brush and thoroughly enjoyed it. You're doing a great job, and it looks like support for your channel and the new venture is definitely growing. Couldn't be happier for you and yours. Well, thank you. Hopefully, you'll be able to get to this email in the next episode, as I have included some pics that I have been and still am working on. I was into 40K back in the mid to late 2000s, 05, 08. But took a hiatus for about 10 years. I finally got my financial situation straightened out and set up a bigger, better hobby area in my basement. The Warrior was the last thing I painted before taking a break. I have a total of 11 Warriors, including this one. I painted a little OSL on the Warriors as an experiment, and I think it turned out okay. The shoulder pads were also updated to a copperish metallic this summer, as they were previously greenish cream ceramic color. I wanted them all to coordinate with the Overlord. Anyway, the Overlord was the first model I painted after getting back into the hobby this summer. You can probably tell the difference in the painting level from 10-year-old Warrior and the Overlord. I used a zenithal airbrush technique on the Overlord and the Deathmark, with the silver building up through Warplock Bronze to Stormhost Silver. They're all painted with Citadel paint range. The Scythe was my first attempt at layering blending, as well as his ribs. The crappy cell phone pics don't really do these guys justice. The cape was airbrushed with several different bronzish coppery metallics. You can't see it in the pics, but in person the cape almost has the color shifting effect. Interesting. Had some frosting issues with my clear varnish, an old rattle can, so his finish isn't quite what I wanted it to be. The Deathmark was painted with the same zenithal technique and colors, but I knew I wanted to go darker. He is a sniper after all. Shadows are his ally. So I based some of the more prominent areas with Abaddon Black, using Stegodon Scale Green and Sotek Green for the highlights, gradually building up in layers of 3. Nuln Oil and Agrax Earthshade washes help to tone the bright blue-green edges down while allowing it to work with the rest of the greens on the model. So let me know what you think, as I have Immortals I'm working on now to finish off the kill team. Once I have them a little more complete, I'll send some pics, assuming you're interested. LOL, stay strong, brother. All the best. Andrew, Andy, aka Brother Otis. And so he had sent some Pikachus. And so here is his Overlord. Let's switch that up a bit. Yeah, there we go. And so here is his Overlord. I really like it. Yeah, the matte spray paint will kill the finish. Any matte will kill the finish. If you're looking for a nice metallic-y kind of look and lots of like reflection and light playing off the surface, I definitely would recommend using a gloss varnish in the future. If you have an airbrush, which it sounds like you do, I would apply that gloss varnish by airbrush. And then if you wanted, say, for example, the base to be matte and other elements to be matte, you can always come in with a matte varnish and hand brush those on afterwards. It's oftentimes what I do when I'm looking for nice rich metallic effects. Really nice work on the orb. I like the little swirly transitions going on in there. Nice work on the blade. I do like that kind of non-metallic metal look you got going on there. On the headpiece, yeah, it looks a little bit like, I don't know, it feels like you lose a bit of that copper out on towards the edges. And it almost feels like maybe where you were dry brushing silver, you just went a little bit heavy with the dry brushing, but I'm sure that's not the case. I like how you have that richness in the metals though, where it goes darker and then it comes to brighter. It almost gives it that kind of rusty like metal appearance. I think a little bit of edging on the cloak, on like the little scales, I think a little bit of edging would definitely bring that out. I like the OSL on his central orb on his back. I get it. I think the orb itself, you see how you have the darker shadows in the back closest to the spine? I think that should be a deeper green rather than going black like that, because then it kind of throws the OSL effect off. And if you had kind of coming up a bit brighter, that way it gives that real impression that that is really an ominous glow. Here's the death marks. Nice and dark. Now the death marks, if you were to give them a completely matte varnish, I don't think that would hurt, especially because they're supposed to be snipers and they're creeping in the shadows and all that other usual kind of sniperness, is that a word? I don't think it would hurt you at all. I think making the eyes stand out a bit though, just to give them a sinister kind of appearance. I do like your work on the orbs though. Very, very cool. Now, were you going for kind of like this pulsing glow on the cables that are in the gun? Because I kind of get it. I think for the warriors, you probably could have went with a bit stronger silver, gave it the Nuln Oil wash, I would have went with a gloss Nuln Oil, and then a very light dry brush of the silver, just to catch the edges. And then maybe just a fine-tuned edge if you want it. But it's a bunch of warriors, and you probably have like 100 of these to do. Nice work on the glow, though. The glow feels a little uniform running up to the shoulder, whereas on the forearm it really works. But I think there's a little too much on the shoulder. The shoulder really wouldn't catch that much light. I think the highlight on the knee and the thigh, I think that could have been closer in towards the knee. But otherwise, it looks good. I get it. I know what you're going for there. I do like your. I like the cables though. I like how it's kind of like there's pulsing energy into it, into the gun. I like that. That's fun. Oh, is that it? Oh, that was it. No, is that it? Aww. Aww. I wanted more Necrons. Sorry, I was right in on my forehead here. It's the way of the forehead. So yeah, so thank you, brother Otis, for sending that in. Awesome stuff. Keep going, and you know, the more you do it, right, the better you'll get overall, you know. And so, huge thank you for sending that in. Awesome stuff. And so, yeah. Seeing as how this is the email show, I'm gonna just continue reading the emails, and you know, I'm just gonna get all nice and caught up. That's the whole point, anyway. That was the whole point of recording this, right? So we are going to get into another email. Hold on here. Sorry, I'm all discombobulated. This one here is from Scott. Thanks for the tips on the aimbot. Oh, he did the aimbot. Yeah, it was an episode ago, I think, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago. Really awesome paint job on it. Thanks for a quick one. It was part of a 9-color challenge on the Paint All Mini Facebook challenge. Let's talk making this one better. And thanks, Kris. And so let's have a look. And so let me switch here. So here's this little robot. This almost looks like a conversion, but it looks like a fresh sculpt. I really like the colors. I like the color scheme with him and his base. Overall, it feels like a very complete model. I'm just trying to see like exactly like I think like your color blends are really good. I think it's just, you know, taking your time on that edging. I think a little bit more definition on like kind of like, you know, where the fingers are bending in at his palm. I think just cleaning that up a little bit more, creating a little bit more distinction, like where the fingers come into the palm of the hand kind of thing. The head looks fantastic. Again, I like the color transitions you got going on there. You know, he looks like he's like a little fighter robot, and so maybe, you know, capturing a bit of the character, maybe he's got a little bit more wear and tear on his fists, and so maybe there's a bit more damage, metal chipping, you know, anything like that, weathering kind of thing on his fists. I see you kind of have like a bit of weathering like on his legs, and I think, you know, on his hands maybe a bit more. Although, you know, you kind of have to find that right balance, right? As far as, you know, where you go. The lens, I like the lens, but I think the spot highlight, where the, you know, the white highlight, I think a little bit more defined, a bit more roundish, I think. There's nothing wrong with what you've done there, but yeah, let me see here. Can I zoom in a bit? I can zoom in a bit. Yeah, I would have personally, I mean, I like doing a 2-dot kind of method, especially on lenses. It just feels a little bit more fun. It's a personal preference. It's not like you have to do it or anything like that. But otherwise, like, there's nothing wrong. And this guy looks like he's probably pretty small. And so it is, kind of tricky. There's a bazillion different directions you could go with this. Like, you could have pushed the armor up a little bit more, brighter, just get a bit more contrast with the darker points, especially separating the knuckles and the finger joins, Immediately the eye is drawn to the head, the eye lens, the blue on that head. I think the blue on the fists definitely would have helped, and I think maybe, but the blue of the base works just fine. I like that he is pretty much one color. I don't think you really need a whole bunch of little bits of color all over him. Although, having said that, I think maybe his eye lens could have been a different color. Or blue, bit more blue on the blue side, like his on his head. I'm thinking more along the lines of like a red, or even an orange, amber. Amber would have been kind of cool, kind of a bright yellowish. But I mean, otherwise, like it looks like a fantastic job. I'm sure this guy is pretty small, and so yeah, it looks like a really fantastic paint job. It looks like you have a really great handle of highlighting. I'm trying to see. It looks a bit like it looks like you like your glazing highlights, which is fine. Don't get trapped within one technique to achieve your desired results. If layering can achieve it, glazing is kind of like layering essentially. It's just very thin and lots of, right? But I mean, like layering your highlights, or even doing wet blends, or even just a slight dry brush to catch some of those edges. And it's a bit of a non-metallic metal look you're going for, and like you've got like these bright edges on, like, say, his knee and his hands, but I don't really see it on the head. Right? It looks like there should be like a highlight, like on that on his head onto the right side, like that portion. There should be like a slightly brighter edge highlight there, and that little doodad next to the blue, there could have been a bit of a highlight there. Or it could have even been done in the same way as you did that little chest doodad that's on his chest. You could have did that little bit on his head, that same kind of color. Yeah, I like the color scheme, but I think the eye lens, because he's so small, and you could have went a bunch of places with him. You have that kind of it's almost like a dark flesh tone, almost like a terracotta, and then you have that turquoise blue in there. And I like how the turquoise blue is almost like the stone that he's standing on. I like that they got these nice cool tones, which frames him nicely. And I think that eye lens, I think should have been a different color. And maybe a bit more weathering on his hands, just to kind of really kind of show that he's using those hands and he's punching out a lot of things, because he looks like he's in a fighter stance, right? But yeah, it looks really good. Definitely a lot of fun. Again, I think even like little markings, like I see like some of these big areas, right? Kind of like how Tau have like those little sep lines on them. Something like that on his like fists, or on his chest armor. What I mean? If he had like a product number on his chest, he was model whatever. He has it on his leg or his knee. He has this little model number on his knee, like he's fighter 120 kind of thing. Whatever, right? I mean, it's whatever. It's just bringing that character to life, and it's those little details that would really separate you. If you were painting this model, like if there was a bunch of you painting this model, and you wanted to kind of really stand out, yeah, I think doing something different for his eye, and I think little squad markings, and I think really bringing out the damage on his fists. Not too much, of course. We're talking just a little bit more dominant kind of chippings. Like I see how you painted the chipping on his shins and There's a bit on his chest, and you know what I mean. They're probably, well, it looks like he got a bit on the blue area, but yeah, I'm just thinking like, just, you know, it's really about bringing out the character, because on a technical side, you know, the painting looks good, and I'm sure this guy is just a little wee feller, and you've got some really great color transitions going on here. I think, yeah, a little bit more attention though on his palms of his fists though. But otherwise, you know, it's a fantastic paint job. Like, you got some really great edges going on here. This one is impressive in the regards that I'm sure this is smaller than the previous piece you had you posted, and so you have some very tight, very tight kind of highlights going on, like the edgings. Like, I'm noticing like on his collar and in his armpit, on the pelvis. You know, it's very tight edge highlights. It's really good. Also, too, preparation. That's another minor one. Now, this guy looks like he's probably a pewter model, but like, I see like on the bolt on his hand, on his right hand, I can see that bolt, and it looks like there's like a mold line that runs from that. And I think, you know, just taking greater preparation to, you know, clean those kind of mold lines off and stuff. But that's minor. I mean, that's a nitpick kind of thing. And I mean, I realize that at this kind of level of painting, anything I say, it is just nitpicky. Because I mean, like, this is fantastic. This is a really nice paint job, and it's a really fun color scheme you've played with here. Yeah. Yeah, I think just the eye lens. If I was going to change any one element, it'd probably be the eye lens. I think like a deep yellowy orange, like almost a brown amber color to a yellow, like a bright yellow. I don't know if I do like an OSL around the eye lens. I don't know if that's necessary. But yeah. Just as a bright focal point. But otherwise, thank you for sending that in, Scott. That is really awesome. Hopefully that input helps. I mean, you seem to have a really awesome handle on the finer points of miniature painting, and you know, I think really, especially if you're going to start going into a bit more competition type of stuff, that it's not just, oh, excuse me, it's not drinking beers, so now, you know, I'm gonna be burping the whole time. It's not just, you know, technical skill, but also, you know, your interpretation of the piece, and can we get something from that piece that, you know, like, you're capturing the character, right? We're looking at a slice in time, right? That little piece, and that's what it should feel like whenever you're going. And this goes for everybody. Whenever you're going for more competition type of paint jobs, or even if you're going for diorama, that's really what it's kind of like. It's like a mini diorama, and the diorama either can be the model and his base, or it can be a big setting, right? And it's really what we're focusing in on, you know, and, you know, so, and of course, really great sculptures will help in that, and in fact, sometimes even dictate, you know, what kind of path you're going to go on. So, yeah, so Scott, awesome work. Like I said, like, those things were just kind of nitpicky. You seem to have a really fantastic handle on painting, on color. And I think, you know, where your next area you're going to explore and start really kind of thinking about, hopefully, is the character, and it's, you know, it takes a bit of interpretation as far as what you're looking at and what you're trying to convey, right? Because you already had started with some battle damage on him and that kind of thing, and so you can start to build upon that, or you can You know, maybe it's his first fight. How do you convey that it's the first time he's fighting? He's a brand new kind of robot. You know, he doesn't even have scratch marks on him, right? Or he's a grizzled old little robot, and or even like the eye lens. Yeah, definitely. If on the eye lens, if like for example, say his fists were all battered up, and he had he had damage on his knees and his feet. There's periodic damage elsewhere, right? It's just tiny, very subtle, not huge amounts. But even if you painted in like a crack in his lens, that just sells all sorts of character, right? Just like creating like it's just kind of like a little tree branch of a crack, right? Just like crack, and then maybe one kind of splintering off like that. You know what I mean? Just create that little hint of a cracked lens, and that would go miles in selling the character that he's a fighting robot. And in fact, he's been through a whole bunch of fights, and he's kind of stanced, and maybe it's the little robot's last stand, right? Maybe he's seconds from being smushed, and you know what I mean. So it's all these kind of things that will help elevate you and help tell a story as far as where you're going with the painting and where you want to go, because it's not just simply painting a model and having a very nice smooth blend and being technically correct in this and your use of color, and that next layer is telling a story. So hopefully, Scott, that helps, and I look forward to more examples of your painting, because your painting is very impressive. It's really good. Normally I'd be sitting here reading chat comments, but so holy crap, I'm already 30 minutes in. Man, I've only done 2 emails, and good God, imagine if this was live. I'd never get through the emails. I'd be rushed. I would be rushed. So thankfully, I can thank my shitty internet provider that I can sit here and just concentrate on just the emails. This next one is from Alan. Hi, Kris. Love your work, and it's great to see you going independent. I've really been working on improving my painting skills. I would love to hear your thoughts on my latest attempt. I've not done the base yet, and any tips on doing eyes would be greatly appreciated. And so here is his latest attempt, according to him, on his painting. Let's go here. Yeah. And so he's doing a, what is it, Orlock? Yeah, Orlock. I like the browns. I like the highlights. I like that you went for it with the hazard markings on his punchy fist. It looks nice and neat. I like his little mustache and beard thingy. The eyes. Oh, I like the goggles too. It's nice and clean. I like the punchy fist. Looks like it has a bit of chipping on it, which is very cool. Nice touch. As far as the eyes are concerned, painting the eyes. What did I don't know if you're a Patreon member, but I recently posted a video on a character model for another game system, Core Space. And I had shown near the end of the video, I show what I did for doing the eyes, which essentially is basically taking a tiny bit of Black Templar on a very nice sharp brush, nice detail brush, and just touching the eye so that just the black runs around into that recess of the eye. Then coming in with white. You probably could come in with a very bright bone color, like Screaming Skull or something like that. If you didn't want to go for bright, stark white eyes, you can kind of go for a bit more, because technically eyes aren't really, well, most times they're not bright white. But anyway, coming in with White Scar, and just very carefully getting that raised point of the eye. Now the thing is that what's really great about using contrast in this regards, and you could also use Nuln Oil, gloss or matte, very lightly touching around the eye, because all it does is it creates a separation for the eye. You're not looking to create like eyeliner type of look. You're not looking to create like this kind of cartoonish black outline around the eye. It does kind of create that, but that at a distance, at arm length, the eye doesn't really become that apparent. So using it in that regards, just the tiniest of touches, and you just let that color just fill in around the eye. It'll just automatically creep because of the surface tension. It'll just creep around the eye, and then you come out with the white. You touch the eyeball, and then you could use null oil if you like again. And oftentimes what I'll do is I'll aim kind of for the center of the eye, but I will push the brush a bit upwards, and so that I end up creating kind of like a triangle. And at a distance, that little triangle looks like a relaxed eye, just so that it doesn't feel like it's staring. And it'll give them kind of bright, bigger eyes. But if you can control your brush and do it a little bit finer, then all the better. You can create a bit more natural looking, smaller kind of eye. But if you can't, that's fine as well. But otherwise, yeah, and it's really, really straightforward. I think in one of the previous videos I posted, when I was painting, doing on the Twitch stream, which of course I want to keep doing that, right? But that's been a pain in the ass as well. But anyway, I had done a lot more details on the eyes, on the little gnome, and that was fun. If you watch that video when I was painting the gnome's eyes, because I actually put little spot highlights on the eye and everything like that. But anyway, yeah, nice transitions on the black. I think the black leather, or nice transitions on the blue, but the black, like on the jacket, I don't know if you need to push that highlight that brighter gray. I would have probably done a little bit lighter, or done a mix of those two and did that amount of highlight, and then do a very, very fine highlight at the very highest points, about a third of the way down towards the edge of the coat, at the edge of the coat, and then up on the collar, and then also on the back of the boots, just where around the wrinkles. The highlights would really kind of gather around where the cloth folds the most and brings out, Now, I'm not saying you should do it, but if you were so inclined to try it out at some point on another model, when doing black, and you have these, if the black feels like you're pushing a little too bright to the gray, like too close to gray along your highlights, you can always take something like null oil, thin it out just a hair, and then lay down a nice even layering on, and push that black and those brighter highlights, push them back a bit towards the black. It'll just make the black blacker, which sounds like an impossibility, but it'll make the black a little bit blacker, but it'll also pull those highlights down a bit, because you do want to have a bit more contrast, because there are a lot of elements at play on these guys, and you have blue pants, you have red shirt, black boots, black, like you have brown, you have the yellow, like there's a lot of colors going on. Whereas if you can push the black to be a bit more of a grounding kind of element, I think it'll be all the better. And so, yeah. So thank you for the email. Awesome stuff. I look forward to more. Hopefully the quick little talk there on the eyes. If that was not clear enough, I can always do another video. I can do another fresh tip, on doing just the eyeballs. Yeah. So if you need a little bit more clarification, no problem at all. Sorry, I'm just going through through these emails here, and I was just looking at that. I just had a talk with my buddy this morning about doing a game table, helping me out with a game table, putting one together. And so, yeah, we've already established that it's going to happen. Just he's a busy man because he does a lot of cement work. He's in construction, and so I'm not much of a construction guy, so I think that's kind of obvious, right? Everybody's like, "Really, Kris? You're not a construction guy? I didn't really think so." Whoa. All right, let's do another email. Time we got here. Holy carmoles. Can I do this show for an hour? just doing the emails, an hour of emails. I had a lot. Well, I've only got 3 more emails, so we're okay. Yeah, so this will be about an hour, give or take. So, all right, did I get everybody? Yeah, because that was that one. Yep. So, this next one is from Marcus. Nathaniel. Greetings, Kris and fellow Monkey. As of today, Friday, 2019, I've finished the commission of a Valkyrie. I've informed the customer already, and he seems pretty content with the results. So, after the last email, I attempted an oil wash. Unfortunately, the white spirit I used ate through the varnish and 3 layers of paint on the left wing. I had to redo the area, and after that, I did more thorough research on oil washes and applied on acrylics. I had the great misconception they'd behave similar to enamels. They don't, which I learned the hard way. Additionally, I reckon the white spirit was too aggressive. Nonetheless, I would save the model and finish it to the customer's satisfaction. I also added another crew member as requested, which you can see in the interior shot. He's supposed to be a loadmaster, leaving the crew compartment to 2 pilots, 2 door gunners, and said loadmaster. By the way, the kit does only provide 4 crew members, so I had to make up one. Some strange thing happened to the base, though somehow the area behind the snake got loose and curled upwards. No idea why that happened, but I think the glue may have been less adhesive as expected or reacted to the humidity building up in my apartment. I fixed it by creating some sort of fissure, or is it ravine? Overall, I think it's a decent job, and he's already given me a follow-up contract regarding a Bane blade and all possible versions from the kit. #magnetize. Anyway, you'll find the images attached, and I'm looking forward to any CNC you and the monkeys might provide. Salutations, Nathaniel. P.S. I need to figure out how to permanently attach door gunners while keeping them mobile. It's very tricky to get them in place when they detach from the mounting. I think pinning might be an option. Right off the top of my head, I'm thinking pinning or really small magnets. Pinning most likely will work though. So, here we are with his Valkyrie. Very, very cool. Yeah, that's masking on the things, right? I was like, geez, the glass doesn't look like that, does it? Very, very cool. I'm digging it. Transfers look good. It's very interesting color. You have like these greens with the little slight browns running through. It's very interesting. I like that. I like it. A little bit of dry brushing, it looks like, just to bring out some of the texture. It looks like you dry brushed in the right direction, you know, kind of going across the wing, creating that slight kind of, you know, air turbulence and such like that. The orange on the engines, any particular reason why it's just on the top and not along the sides, like not like around the perimeter of that lip? Gunner, very cool. Yeah, why? I guess, yeah, that's pretty much my only question is why is that orange tint just on the very top of the engine and not around the perimeter of the engine? I'm sure there's a reason for it. I would love to know why. Nice work on the canopies. Nice and clean. See the crew inside there. Very, very cool. I don't know if the rotors needed that dry brushing of that orangey brown. I'm not sure they really needed that. Because oftentimes, even when you see engines like jet engines, and you see like exhaust and soot and wear and tear around the edges of the turbine, you often don't see the blades themselves, you know, in a marred kind of fashion. I think mainly because they spin too damn fast, right? So. Base looks pretty straightforward. Ha! I like the door gunner. Ha! I think the rockets could have been picked out a little bit more. But, big whoop. I'm always a big fan of kind of like white rockets with red tips. Red tips. And yeah, I like that you did the lenses on the little scopes and everything like that. I like that. Yeah, I think if the rockets were like, if the main tip was kind of white with a little red tip, I think that would have added a nice little bit of contrast onto the model. He's got the little white elements of like the numbers, right? In the future, an idea. I don't know if you're familiar with using the sponge technique to do weathering, but if you took a bit of that base color and applied it to a sponge, and then when you apply the transfer down, and then just very gently and very sparingly use the sponge with that base color and just tap around some of the decal and create some kind of breaks in that surface, so it feels like that paint job is coming off and it's wearing down. You know what I mean? So the number, because like you have this nice weathered effect going on the model, and then all these white transfers feel kind of abrupt. Right? Now, it's okay if the missiles in the missile bay feel abrupt, because they'd get reloaded every time, right? So there'd always be like fresh missiles in there. Very cool. Are we going for a bit of an OSL effect going on inside there, glowing the interior? Is that what's going on there? Very interesting. If that was the effect, I don't think light would gather inside the grill. On the top raised edges of the grill, you would have that light gathering. But yeah, and also too, I mean, if it is an OSL, if it's not just painted interior, right? If this is just the painted interior, okay, fine. But if you really wanted to further sell the OSL effect, the crew would be illuminated by this lighting in here. And in fact, it would be really kind of fun if you really kind of, like, I realize this is commission and you don't want to spend too much damn time on it, but like the crewman in the middle, he would be bathed in those ambient lights within the crew space, whereas the door gunners, their backs would be illuminated, right? And actually that would be kind of a fun little exercise, I think, in OSL. Oh, I see where that lifted up. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Looks like you maybe used PVA glue and then it just started to lift up from the base. Preventing that kind of thing in the future, definitely take a bit of sandpaper and sand down the surface of that base before you apply the glue, just to give a little bit more tooth to that surface. Sandpaper's your friend. You should always have a steady supply. I like the little snake though. That snake is cool. I'm not sure why they're deliberately flying over a snake, but hey, whatever, right? It's 40K. Doesn't have to always make sense. In fact, I don't know, does 40K even make sense? Because when you think about it realistically, like, could this thing fly? Could this thing actually fly? Maybe. Because it does have those nozzles on the ends of the wings, right? It's got two great big turbine engines on it. Could it fly? Maybe. The wing isn't aerodynamic at all. It's a flat edge on that leading edge, and it doesn't taper down towards the backside. So, I don't know what thick-ass atmospheres you have to fly through where that is an aerodynamic shape. But those are some big jet engines. So you'd imagine this thing can go screaming around really, really fast. But yeah. But could it fly? Could it fly? If the wings, felt a little bit more aerodynamic, maybe, But then again, it's kind of like the Thunderhawk gunship, right? It's it's all about thrust. It's just so much thrust that it just can fly anywhere because it's just relying purely on the amount of thrust just to get it from point A to point B kind of thing, right? So, but awesome paintwork, Nathaniel. In the future, yeah, I would think about those kind of things, especially with like the amount of like subtle weathering you got going on the model, that maybe weathering the decals and helping marry them to that surface like that to really capture the vibe. And again, I'm not sure what that brown is on the top of the intakes. And I think picking out some of those little tubes and such on the engines as well, and some of those little areas, just to bring a little bit more metals in there. But otherwise, again, the most important part is, was your customer happy? If your customer's happy, it's all that matters. He wants you to paint something else, perfect. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what matters, right? It's what your customer wants, and giving what your customer what they want. It's what she's all about. Holy cramoles, yeah. We might go an hour for this. I didn't think we would, but very, very cool. Am I still recording? Am I even still recording this? Yeah, I'm recording this. I gotta make sure I'm still recording this. Oh man, my hair's a mess. Sorry, I just had to look at myself here and I was, oh, my hair. There we go. Hair's all fixed. Let's see, Kris is getting kind of gray over here. Over here. Getting gray. All right. Enough of that. Let's do another email. This one is a 2004 vintage Wraithlord finally done. This is from Haldane. Hi Kris, hail monkeys. This was fun, frustrating, and took ridiculously long. I bought this old metal Wraithlord in 2004 when I visited Warhammer World. Started conversion work in 2014 or 2015. Moving back to Malta meant some pretty major repairs. My sculpting of the new joints was not nearly as good as before. Very frustrating, but such is life. I always try to do new things with each project. For painting, this was an all glazing project. Interesting. Almost all the highlighting and shading was through glazing. I learned so much, including I love glazing. Then there was the freehand. Baby steps, but a start. I'm really happy with it for a first attempt. In a big way, it was the encouragement of Way of the Brush and Vince Ventrella that finally got me to sit down and do it instead of thinking about it. Tried so many new things on this one, radically repositioning the joints of a metal mini and filling in gap sculpting to match the original, glazing freehand pigment powders, some new effects to enhance grass tufts and flowers, magnetized changeable base elements. No more essay. Hopefully I'll be in the chat so you can ask questions about choices I made and give me some feedback. Haldane. So, well, because this is a pre-recorded episode, there won't be any live feedback, but I'm sure you'll provide feedback nonetheless. So let's have a look. So Wraithlord, this is classic Wraithlord. This model is entirely pewter. It looks like he has bent some of the joints, like the knee joint there, giving him that forward step. Almost has like this Crimson Fist vibe to it. He's all navy blue with red fist. Interesting choice. I like you did the little gemstone there. Very cool. I like the transition on the blue. Very, very interesting. I like it up on the shoulder pad here. Oh, it's gonna do this sideways thing on me. Oh, for God's sakes. Yeah, glazing, it looks like it's a lot of fun. Um, Stepping on a guardsman. The freehanding on the runes, very nice. The banding on his tabard or his loincloth, whatever you want to call it, very cool. Where's his head? Is he done? Is this work in progress or is he done? Oops. There we go. He doesn't have a head. Where's his head? Are we? Is this still work in progress? I hope this is still work in progress, because I'd love to see it with the head. Because there is no head on this guy. If you don't have a head, I might have one kicking around. I can possibly send you if you need a head. But yeah, I liked it. I like where you're going with it. I think the only suggestion I would make is watch out going for too many colors on the gemstones. You know, I noticed you had blue, red, magentas. I think you probably could get away with just doing one color for all the gemstones. I probably, for that color scheme, I probably would go all blue, or just for giggles, magentas. The freehanding on it is really good. I like your line work on the cloak or his tabard. That was really good work. Oh wait, there is another part to this email though. Oh, there is a head. Guess I should have kept on going with the email, right? So there we go. Not the photos of the head, final freehand and final assembly, and a better look at the magnetizing base feature. Toodles, Haldane. Okay, so there is a head. Okay, I like it. Looks good. It looks like you kind of built up your highlights and then glazed it back down with some clear colors, or even possibly, or were you building up your highlights using the glazing technique? Like when we say glazing, like which way are we talking glazing? Like were you just working in really, really thin layers and building up, or were you building your highlights up and then glazing clear colors on top to repush and, you know, resaturate color? Because there's two ways basically you could go with glazing like that, right? Nice work on the freehand on the head. And in fact, it makes the work on the leg pale in comparison. That looks like the head was done obviously afterwards and you got a lot more comfortable. The lines are a lot sharper on the head than they are on the leg. I'm not saying go back and redo it. I'm not even suggesting that. But if it was me, I probably would. I know that's not what you want to hear, but nice work on the gemstone on the head. Very good. Yeah, there we go. Now he looks like a Wraith Lord. He's got the big beetle bug head. He's giving that little guardsman a stomp. Oh, we got a missile launcher on his shoulder pad as well. Shoulder pad? No, shoulder mount. Yeah, really nice work on the cloth there. I don't recall this model coming with cloth banners though, because I had a few of these models. But yeah, slightly out of focus, but that's okay. It almost looks like a metallic blue in the light. Is it a metallic blue? It almost looks like a metallic blue in the light. This guy looks like he's taking a suntan. But very, very nice. I like the color scheme. I like the red gemstone in the head. If you went all magenta, I think that'd have been cool too. Blue probably would get lost on that head if you went blue. Although of course if you went with a light blue, then it would really kind of stand out. But otherwise, yeah, I like it. I like the model. It was a really good paint job. And yeah, let me know what kind of glazing you were going about. Were you glazing it, um, building your highlights up, and then even possibly laying a clear coat on top of it and pushing, resaturating those colors, or you know, were you just simply glazing those colors upwards and just kind of started from the deeper tone and just started to build? Or no, you said you did the highlights and the shadows. So yeah, you could have started with the mid tone, pushed up, pushed down. I get it. Very interesting. The red on the hand, I like the red on the hand. The look was nice and deep and dark. The color scheme itself reminds me of Crimson Fists, just because of that navy blue with the red fist, which it's fun. Nothing wrong with that. And yeah, I liked it. I like the model. Those old pewter models, I notice sometimes through the casting process, the surfaces can become very dimpled, which when you're laying paint on the surface and you're trying to create like a smooth look, and then in natural light you can see all that surface distortion on it and everything like that, and all the pock marks and all that. So it can give the impression that the model has more paint on it than is necessary. You know what I mean? Like it can feel like it's a little bit overloaded with paint. So be mindful of that. One of the quick fixes is just a fine grit sandpaper, and you just carefully work your way around the model and resand that surface and just bring all that surface down, make it nice and smooth. Which is why basically pewter's kind of fallen out of favor for big companies like Games Workshop, because, well, one, the weight, but also the smoothness and the accuracy of replication across many molds, right? And I'm sure metal molds last longer than vulcanized rubber, which is what they used to use for pewter models, right? They use vulcanized rubber, and they only have a certain lifespan to them before they start to give, and you start to end up with all sorts of irregularities in the kits. And many times I bought a metal model, and they were slightly askew. It had that little step in the model where the mold line would go, and it'd be that little step, and it's like, oh my god, that was one of the worst things I hated dealing with when dealing with metal models, is that little misstep in the casting process. But thank you, Haldane. Thank you, everybody, for sending in your emails this week. I thought I had more emails. Well, I did have quite a few. But, because normally, would we even get through this many emails? Would we? I don't think we would. And so, yeah. Sorry, I'm checking out all these other freaking things. My inbox is getting spammed right now. A bunch of emails. But anywho, that is it for emails. So keep those emails rolling in. Yeah, because normally I read these things live, but just because issues. Now apparently they're supposed to send a technician. And so hopefully this issue clears up sometime soon, because it is affecting my flow here, because I wanted to do live streams, because I want to do Twitch streams, as well as doing Way of the Brush, of course, on Saturdays here on YouTube and on Twitch. So yeah, it's interrupting my game here. It's interrupting my game. But anywho, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Again, send your email questions to Kris@wayofthebrush.com, and I'll read your emails. Normally I would read these live, but just given the circumstances, and I definitely wanted to be able to do something today and have something for you guys, so I'm doing this as such as it is. And send your questions, comments, Kris@wayofthebrush.com. Of course, you can join us on wayofthebrush.com. Central hub of all this silliness, has links to all the social medias, as well as Discord. Discord's been a lot of fun. It's been fantastic. And it also has links for Patreon support. Huge thank you to all my patrons who currently support me. Without you guys, a lot of this stuff wouldn't happen. And I am counting heavily on patron support, because now I'm independent. And I'm free, and I can do whatever the hell I want to do. And so with your support, I can continue the work. And stay tuned for fresh tips, because I've been putting out 2 a week so far. Patreon supporters get early access, and of course there will be other perks. I do make mention of this in my recent update video I did for the Patreon supporters. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you kind of have an idea where things are going, where things stand, and where things are going. So join me on Patreon, because it helps. Of course, if you're not able to support monetarily, you can always click that like, subscribe, comment, share. Sharing the video is a big one. And so, I'll be sure to ring the bell, follow if you're on Twitch, and all that. And so hopefully next week we can do this live. Better. Freaking internet providers. Take care of your brushes. They'll take care of you, and I will see you guys next time. I better see you guys next time.